Welcome to the Reinvented Life with Pamela Chanel David. Do you want to step up your game? Pursue your dreams. Be the best version of yourself. The Reinvented Life is here to help. The Reinvented Life is about courage. It's about staying relevant. It takes grit. It defies gravity. It's about taking inventory of where you are today and where you want to go. Embrace change, make things possible, and reinvent your life. Call in with questions at 888-994-4995. Now, it's time to reinvent your life with Pamela Chanel.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Reinvented Life. Always such a pleasure to be here with our listeners and our viewers. And today's show I'm really excited about because we're really getting into the nitty-gritty, as we call it, of how to really take action steps to not only just create change, but make it lasting and make it in alignment with where we want to be. I'm very excited. I have the hosts of Ambient on with me today, the owners of the Brooklyn Cafe, Dawn and Freddie, to really engage in an active discussion, a Q&A, if you will, of what people are asking about. And today is all about getting to those nuggets and getting the information out to people of really what it takes. So I want to welcome on Dawn and Freddie to the Reinvented Life Show and just compliment them on everything they do, the fun, the excitement, really the relativity they bring to everything. Welcome to the Reinvented Life.
Well, thank you so much for having us. You've been on our minds. People are looking for change. People are taking that deep dive into losing weight and sustainable change through products, through supplements, through mindset, and you keep coming up over and over again. Every day you're back in it because this is what people are looking for.
Thank you so much, and welcome to both of you. You know, the change that I have gone through, the physical change that I have gone through, many of the viewers and listeners may have heard before, but it's life-changing. You know, and I think what people have to realize is it doesn't just come by chance. At one point in my life, I was told I had probably less than a year to live. And for someone that is as vibrant and dynamic and connected into the world as I am, I didn't even know at that time how to process that. But I did know that I had completely abandoned my health. I was morbidly obese. I had blood sugar so high that the doctor didn't understand how I was still standing. Blood pressure issues, cholesterol issues. I mean, you name it, I had it. And I did not even recognize, even though I could visibly see it every day, I never recognized where I had let my life go to, the crisis, if you will, that I had gone through. So to look at where I needed to go, it was daunting at the time. And that's where the Reinvented Life was born, to lessen that load, if you will, for people. At one point or another, we have to take responsibility for our decisions, for our choices in life. And although I was so proud of so many aspects of my life, the family I was raising, the work I was doing, to your point, Dawn, it was a hot topic for so many people of how do we get back in alignment with ourselves? And that's what I heard you say. People that are overweight, people that are underweight, people that want to be active and they're not. All of the things that contribute start with the mindset. I'm sure that's what you're hearing when you talk to people all day long.
It is, and it's people who have made the change, but I hope you can talk about it's not just your journey, it's how you're helping others on their journey. and that you're here not only as a resource on the other side of the United States to share your story, but you are a coach, and you're looking at opening an incredible training center in the San Francisco Bay Area to continue your work to help others.
Well, that's exactly it. You know, so much can be done virtually today, and I love that we're coast to coast, and I love that I can have influence and help people and coach people all over the country, and we're on other sides of the continent, and in fact, that matter, helping people all around the world. But I do believe that a physical presence, a center where part of what we're going to do is create a broadcast studio. A major part of what we're going to do is create a broadcast studio so that this information can be broadcast out from that center. And that center is exactly what you're saying. It's a place where people can gather, a place where people can collaborate, and a place where I can give the information to people, coach people on how to do this. Because the biggest part of my journey is not what I just achieved. That's actually the smallest part. The biggest part is how can I have influence on others to do the same. That's why it is something so bigger than myself. And this center is going to be all about that. It's going to be a place that broadcast can happen. It's going to be a place that coaching can happen. It's going to be a place that people can go to actually do the things for themselves that will help them with the mindset, with the journey, with their physical body, with their spiritual aspect of it, that it can all come together and give them the strength and the belief in themselves again. And that's why I am ecstatic about what this is going to do.
Well, the amazing aspect of this whole thing is, you look for solutions to a problem, and sometimes the problem gets out of hand, and we begin to suppress the realization that we have to do things differently to get things accomplished. But when you find that niche, and then you start putting it out there, like what we saw today, the young lady that came in and talked to us, 168 pounds, and she's still working at it, and she's still doing what she needs to do. And now she's also delivering a podcast of help because she wants to help others get through what she went through. So we were talking today, and I asked her, do you sing? Like I asked you, like I asked everybody. And she said, yes, I do. And so she got up there.
No, she said, no, I don't. I'm tone deaf.
She says she's tone deaf, but she sings.
That's what she said.
So I said to her, good, I want you to get up there and sing. Because if you're going to walk the walk, you got to be able to, if you're going to talk the talk, you have to be able to do the walk. And she got up there and she sang. And then some of the producers got up here and they sang with her because I didn't want her to feel alone. And all of a sudden it turned into a segment of strength of what was going on. And she was touched by that. Sometimes if we use the energies that get us to that bad place and use it for the good, you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. And ever since I've met you and I've talked to you and you came into studio, that's what I feel. I feel that you have a lot to offer others that are on the same journey. And sometimes you don't even realize you're on a journey until that light bulb goes on and boom, it changes your whole life and others. It affects others.
When you say you don't even realize you're on it and you have things to deal with it, that is the very key to all of it. No matter how someone may look in the mirror to themselves, if they don't realize it internally, they're not going to go anywhere. So it's when you release yourself from being stuck. And that is a big part of what I do. I coach on how do you remove yourself from being stuck so you can even recognize where you are in this journey. Instead of the amount of weight one needs to lose, which is always foremost on someone's mind if they're overweight, it's What can you do? What pieces can you put in place to treat yourself with more grace? How can you, and I call it, be more like water instead of a boulder? In other words, instead of being a stagnant rock, stuck with where you are with anything in your life, how do you start flowing? How do you start getting yourself into a place that you could be fluid? And that is whether it is something emotionally you want to move from, something physically you want to move from. It really doesn't matter. It requires the same amount of effort to recognize the things that are keeping you stuck, keeping you there as a boulder, and then literally transforming yourself into the water. If you visualize a stream, the water that moves around that rock and over that rock and to the side of that rock. Once you start moving, and the key to this, Freddie, is moving. It's taking action steps that remove you from the place that you're stuck. I was stuck, so I personally understand that without the recognition of the changes that I needed to put in place, and that change work is so scary to so many people because we get comfortable with familiar where we are. So one of the things I do with all of my clients is I start with an inventory list. And I know that might sound crazy to people, but I start with a list of where they are, where they are today, how they got there. Yeah, it's important to some extent. But what's more important is what are they going to do today? Because we only have this present moment, and we can project and think what the future will be, but we have this present moment, and that is the magic. So we take an inventory list, every single client and I, of where they are, and then we look at that list very honestly. When people get honest with themselves, and it sounds like the woman that you're describing that was in your studio today finally got honest with herself of what's on their list, what's on the inventory list, so to speak, and what parts of it are still relevant today. May have served them well for a long time, but we get stuck and sometimes can't even see where we need to be. So that is the key to this whole piece. And Don, I'm sure that's what you find in a lot of the people that are in the studio and around your groups, you know?
Do you think it's important for change to occur for yourself or because somebody else wants you to do it? For example, was it important for Freddie to make this change for Freddie or because he wants to be here for his children and his grandchildren and for others? Or do you need to make the change because it's your calling?
It absolutely, at one point or another, needs to become your calling. No matter how logical the recommendations you're getting in life about, again, anything. It could be a doctor in terms of your physical state. It could be a friend in terms of emotionally or mentally where you can be better off. Until that resonates for you, whether it's children, grandchildren, people you care about, professionals, it absolutely can't happen. And so that is what this taking inventory is all about, is to help people look at all the aspects of the life. We call it a design map. We call it a life design, and we take a look at all the different aspects, the categories of one's life and where they are, and then have, with my guidance, if anything, we can call it a coach, but I'm basically a guide, and guide people through what in their inventory of life, on their map, is still leading them in the direction they want to go. It has to be internal. You
And
can
who
be
is your
motivated.
who is your ideal client, Chanel? For people who are watching, people who are listening, and they think, I don't need to lose 160 pounds. Can she still help me? Could you help someone who doesn't need to lose weight, but is just stuck in whether it's a bad relationship, it's a mom zone, it's, you know, the dad looking for another career? Can you help people with that as well?
Absolutely. As I say, changes in all aspects of your life. So whether it's a physical change you want to make, if it's an emotional change you want to make, or with a career or with a job, my ideal client is the person that wants to make a change but does not know how to get there. In other words, I coach, as an example, people that have had full careers, okay? They've been employees, they've had full careers, and they want to migrate to their own businesses, their own entrepreneurial endeavors. I can absolutely help them because we can look at everything that is important in their life, all the values, all the inventory, and determine what will help them. So my ideal client is the person that has had some experience in life and wants to create something different. Sometimes it's totally opposite of where they are.
Yeah, totally opposite. It's a whole 180, right? It's not the 360. You don't want to go back in the circle. You want to just be in a different place. It's a 180. Or is it really the you that you are, but you were just afraid to be? That's what you
Well,
always say.
that's a good point, because oftentimes, really what it is all about at the end of the day is becoming your truest, authentic self. And we go through these steps in life, and we go through things where we think that's the direction we want to go. But oftentimes, things in life have come to be, or we've created certain things in life. And at the end of the day, there is something that comes up that makes people realize, wow, that's not necessarily authentically who I am. And so many times, the work is really to get back to who is their authentic self, take a lot of pride, a lot of care about what you've done, but allow yourself the thoughts about what does your future self look like. And there's a whole series that I take people through that is about creating something in their life that is important to them that maybe wasn't important before, or they had lost sight of.
Or sometimes you have you have something that other people can see. Sometimes it's funny, we've had meetings this week about new shows that are coming out. And some of them I know are going to be winners because they are going to be able to just bring themselves naturally. And some of them are going to be winners if they work at it a different way. And some of them don't realize that they're sitting here telling us what they do. And I see a winner. I see something that people need. I see things that people just gotta have. And they don't realize it. And I tell them, if you trust yourself, the system will pay for you. But do you know a lot of people rather worry about how do I look on the set? How do I hold a microphone? Am I too heavy? Am I too light? Are my eyes looking in the right direction? And they're not paying attention to what I want to hear is what they were saying they got them here. And they forget that. Yeah. They forget how wonderful they can be because they're so sidetracked by all the other outside noise, what we call the noise, right? And people have to learn how to believe more in themselves. They have to understand that giving up information, letting people talk to you and relate to you is part of you. That's part of the you have to learn to love. And it's amazing because the Reinvented Life is such a great name. Always liked it. Always liked it. And I'm looking forward to joining forces with her in San Francisco. I got people in Europe that want to join forces with her as well. People are looking for this opportunity just to see how deep the well goes. And I'm excited.
Chanel, if people don't live in California, you can still coach them through any which way.
Oh, yes. All of my business almost exclusively is done online now. So wherever in the world anyone is, we go online, we create our sessions, we do them virtually, and they're just as effective. The key to it is the willingness and the acknowledgement that they want to grow. You know, what Freddie was describing just now is basically growth and the willingness to grow. We get so settled. And I always use this analogy with people that a newborn baby grows into a toddler, who grows into a child, who grows into a preteen, who grows into a teen, and eventually becomes an adult. That growth is the most natural state one can be in. Yet somewhere along the line, in life's occurrences, generally in adulthood, people get resistance to that growth. People suddenly don't see growth anymore as natural, but they see it as something that's change, and we know the word change creates fear in people. And so instead of doing what will serve their life best, they retreat. It's a very normal occurrence. And one of the best things about Dawn being able to do work from anywhere with anyone is we can get online, we can have one-on-one conversations. They're completely confidential, but they are personal to that person. Oftentimes, as an example, with my business background, I get a referral to a client for a business coach. And we start doing our work, evaluating their businesses, and lo and behold, it generally gets back to where they are personally. Because where one is personally is reflective throughout their lives, and so their business is reflective of that. The minute, as Freddie was describing, someone makes that decision to get involved with change in their life, it will help them with this process of growth. And again, growth being, to come full circle with it, maybe getting back to who they authentically are. That oftentimes is the case. And in life, they've gone through a number of steps, but when they want to cross that finish line, when they want to go into a new part in their life, a new race they want to run, just as an analogy, people get scared. And so at the Reinvented Life, we are able to help them get, I always laugh when I say this word, but get unstuck. Because being stuck is such a tough place for someone to be.
You know what's interesting, and I hope we can talk about it on your show tomorrow, or you can talk about it on your show tomorrow. We don't get enough into you having your MBA and the business side of people needing to change. We do a lot of the physical, we do a lot of the emotional, the change, the psychology of it. But truly, you have an MBA, which don't take that lightly for anybody. And you do business coaching, and you do business development. And I'd love for you to be able to touch on that tomorrow or in a future show.
Yeah, I'd love to touch on that because I do think people lose sight of that. I have a very unique skill set. The Reinvented Life finds its success in its uniqueness. There's life coaching, there's business coaching, and it's very rare that you have an individual, and I'm very extremely proud of this, that I can mitigate through both of that for people. And again, what I find usually very early on in the business coaching piece of what I do is people want to explore something that they're grappling with personally. And oftentimes it might be the grit that's needed. Oftentimes it might be the energy that's needed. And their lives have become very complacent outside of the workplace and they don't put the two and two together. It's like our minds and our bodies. We lose sight again as we age, as we get into adulthood. We take things for granted and we forget the importance of that mind-body connection. And that would be a perfect segue into tomorrow's show. I love that we're doing back-to-back shows this week. And I love the fact that people can start to see the holistic connection through their whole life.
I love that, because the business side, you're right, because when I started, I know we're wrapping up this show, and I started working with a business coach for being a health coach, and I needed a coach to be a health coach. In that moment, I met Freddie, and within 30 days of my business coaching business plan, it switched 180 to now I wasn't doing health coaching anymore. I was going into TV production. And what did that look like? And then all of that ended up back at who I am and what that looked like for me. So it's a full cycle. And you're exactly right. It's important to touch on all the aspects because we're not just a piece of us.
And I put on your hat. I put on what you do. I saw that she had her master's in media communications. And I said, you know something? I think that you're playing towards your weaknesses, play towards your strength, and everything you're doing with this coach is going to happen. And look, 8 years later, look around as to what it is that you've produced. It's amazing. And you could do more. You could have chosen to even do more if you wanted to. I always told you that. Never to hold you back from what you want to do. But we're here. And it's an amazing, it's been an amazing journey. That's all I got to say.
So, Chanel, thank you so much for having us. Again, the fluid
Absolutely.
conversation like water. And I love that we can flow right into tomorrow about the business aspect of it. Because unfortunately, we're rolling into summer, and summer changes too.
Exactly. Well, thank you everyone for listening, for viewing. Thank you, Dawn and Freddie, for not only your expertise, but for the energy and the exquisite expression of what you do. I love this show for this reason because it allows people to get comfortable with change and out of the fear of it all. So I will see everyone tomorrow. Thank you again. And I welcome anyone to send any questions they may have that they would love answered to info@thereinventedlife.com. That's info@thereinventedlife.com. Would love to get in touch with you and see how we can help reinvent your life.
Thank you for tuning in to The Reinvented Life with Pamela Chanel David. Tune in each week so we can work and grow together to become the best version of ourselves. Keep striving, keep dreaming, keep working, and embrace change. You may contact Pamela Chanel at info@thereinventedlife.com.